Man City have a problem that I don't think enough people necessarily realise. I'm going to explain what it is and how City could go about fixing it in this video. But if you are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 5k subscribers before the start of the Premier League season. Hit a like as well. And if you can, or if you want to, get involved in the City Ramble Discord. It's like a massive group chat for City fans speaking all things football and some things non-football as well. But this problem, this mysterious problem that I feel like could present a bit of an issue for City either this season or next season, but definitely next summer if things don't change, is the centre-back region, the centre-back position, the centre-back sort of department within City's squad. And on the surface, you go, well, City have got plenty of centre-backs. In fact, they've probably got too many. Ruben Diaz, Josko Gvardiol, Nathan Ake, John Stones, Manuel Akanji, Kusanov, Vita Heiss as well. They're all of the players that were in the City Club World Cup squad who can play centre-back. Obviously, for Josko Gvardiol, he can play left-back as well. For Akanji, he has played left-back. Kusanov has played right-back. Sorry, Akanji has played right-back. Like Kusanov, he's played right-back as well. So there is a bit of versatility there. However, you look at sort of that centre-back region, players who will be in that sort of position next season and going forward. I think City have got a lot of players, but I think they've got a bit of a problem and a bit of surgery might need to be had in that position. Let's take John Stones and Nathan Ake, for example, both homegrown options, which we know already is another problem that City have got with their squad heading into this season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. Both of them are out of contract next summer in 2026. Now, obviously, John Stones didn't play at the Club World Cup despite professing that he was fit and ready to go. In fact, I think he said he's sort of come over all of these injury problems and he should be able to play. Nathan Ake did play a lot. Obviously, he, again, another one like Stones, didn't necessarily feature a great deal in the back half of last season. He was injured. Both of them are out of contract in 2026. Then you've got Manuel Akanji, who's got a little bit longer on his deal. He's contracted until 2027, but there have been some concerns crop up about his performance levels, a few mistakes, and look, you can say, yeah, City on the whole weren't great last season, so it's understandable. You know, Ruben Diaz as well, who has usually been that sort of number one centre-back in City's starting 11 for quite a long time. Obviously, he's come in and out of the team at times, but since he joined, he's kind of been a guaranteed starter. He's had issues as well, but I think on the whole, Akanji, I'm going to be honest, I think he was a great pickup in 2022 when City brought him in to sort of cover for Laporte, whose injury was worse than expected in that summer, and he obviously hit the ground running. City win the treble. I do think there is maybe a conversation to be had about how Akanji is used. Being said, you know, are you going to see any of those? Are you going to see all three of those at City beyond 2027 when Akanji's deal runs out? Absolutely not. You know, you're going to guarantee that won't be the case. Are you going to see Stones and Ake at the club past 2026 when their contracts run out? For one of them, I'd say absolutely not. For both of them, I'd say it's probably a little bit of a stretch as things stand. So they're two homegrown options. With Akanji, you've got a defender, a central defender who predominantly plays, you know, in the middle at centre back, but also can add a little bit of versatility at right back as well. How many of them are going to be here in the next sort of 2-3 years? One, possibly. Maybe that's Akanji, but it'd need a contract extension. I genuinely, looking at City's squad, looking at City's centre-back sort of department, I don't see how City go the next 2 summer transfer windows, including this one, without signing at least one first-team ready centre-half. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be this summer, but I think it could next summer be a massive sort of department that City look to target and bring in new players. And at the end of this video, I've got 3 names who I feel like could be potential options for City to go after. But even in the sense of this season, it's gonna be interesting to see how City go into the 25-26 season with their centre backs, because we did a video at the start of the summer saying I think it was 5 players who City should get rid of going into the new season, and I mentioned that I reckon at least one of John Stones or Nathan Ake will be moved on just because of their reliability, their contract situation, the fact that at the end of next season they'll be going on a free. Obviously, you're not getting a lot of money for either of them. Both of them are well past the peak. I think that's fair to say in terms of age profile, fitness, etc. But you know, 10 million or something like that, a nominal fee. I can't quite, whatever it's going to be, a little bit like Kyle Walker was. I would be gobsmacked if there isn't departures in the centre back area. Now, that would obviously, it takes two to tango. You need someone like John Stones, or you need someone like Nathan Ake, or potentially even Manuel Akanji to say, yeah, I'll move on, I'll take that offer, I'll have a massive wage reduction, which will be inevitable if they're leaving City. What I think might work in City's favour here a little bit is the fact that it is a World Cup season at the end of next summer, obviously the 2026 World Cup. John Stones is by no means guaranteed a spot in the England squad, even when he is fit. Nathan Ake, obviously, there are some top young Dutch centre-halves coming through. One of them we'll speak about a little bit later on. He's not guaranteed a spot. Manuel Akanji's a little bit different. I'm off the top of my head, I'm not sure what the depth at centre-back is like for the Swiss national team, but you'd imagine that he's going to be there or thereabouts, so it's less of an issue for him. But maybe for Stones and Ake, that could certainly help City in terms of if they're going to be on the bench, if they're not going to be fit, if they're not going to be playing regularly. I know that's a bit of an oxymoron, because if you play regularly, there's more chance you'll get injured. But anyway, you get where I'm coming from. There's every chance that they won't be in the World Cup squad. So maybe City can use that into their favour. But at the moment, 7 centre-backs or 7 players who are sort of maybe predominantly considered centre-halves, I just don't see how City go into the new season with all of them. So yeah, Vita Heiss is another one that we're mentioning here. Obviously, he's currently at the squad. There's been talk, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, that maybe Girona could be a loan option for him. Obviously, Girona aren't in the Champions League, or they're not in Europe at all, meaning City can loan players to them. Obviously, multi-club ownership, blah, blah, blah. It was a bit of an issue last season. Claudio Echeverri is another one who's been mentioned with a potential loan to Girona. So that is an issue. That is part of the issue in terms of, I think City have got to trim that part of the squad. Who it is, though, I don't know, because I think most people sat here watching or listening to this video, or City fans, you ask them on the street or whatever, would say that, of the names, John Stones, Ake, they give you the most when they're fit. They're just not fit that often. In fairness to Manuel Akanji, I know he had surgery last season, was out for a little bit, but he recovered really well. He came back, and usually he is a lot more reliable. He can play a lot more football than the others. If you could almost combine the sort of the three of them, you'd have a really solid, dependable centre half. I don't know. If I'm to be put on the spot and guess, I think it's one of Stones and Ake. Then again, the homegrown issue, which just doesn't seem to be going away. So what do you do about that? Do you maybe get rid of John Stones and bring in Tino Livramento, who's obviously a specialist fullback? But then you probably have to get rid of one of Rico Lewis or Mateus Nunes. And again, Rico Lewis, homegrown option. So I do not envy Hugo Viana, Guardiola, the City transfer gurus who are behind the scenes working away, because it does feel like there's going to have to be some tough conversations. I promised options, I promised names. How do we fix this problem, this position? I think City have got to go young, a little bit like they did with Josko Gvardiol. Obviously, I know Laporte wasn't quite at the age of Stones and Ake, but they got rid of a really good, in fairness, defender in Laporte. Obviously cashed in on him to Saudi Arabia, brought in Josko Gvardiol, who was widely considered probably the best young defender in world football at the time. Obviously, with that, you have to spend big. A few names that have been bobbing about in terms of potential young centre-backs in Europe. Diamande, who obviously somebody like Hugo Viana is going to know well. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying he, along with Ruben Amorim, brought him to Sporting when the pair were working together. He is now 21. So certainly fits that age profile. He's been linked to all sorts of clubs in England. Arsenal, Man United, I think maybe Spurs as well, have been sniffing around him. Crystal Palace, in fact, as well, in terms of their Mark Gay replacement. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves this summer, though, which obviously rules him out a little bit for City if they're looking to make a run at it next season. Jorel Hato is another top young talent. He's at Ajax. He's been around the scene, I'd say, for maybe 12 months now, being linked in conversation. Again, Liverpool, Arsenal, a couple of the teams who've been mentioned to him. He's probably going to be looking at taking those minutes for the Dutch national team off Nathan Ake. So that's an interesting one. I'm pretty sure he can play again centre-half and left-back. So if you're talking about that versatility, I think Jorel Hato certainly fits the bill there. He's also left-footed. So if you lose Nathan Ake, there is that natural sort of replacement in terms of the player he is. But the one I think it will be, and I can just, like, it makes far too much sense, this one, is Jared Branthwaite. Now, look, I know we're having conversations about defenders who haven't been able to stay fit and haven't been able to stay reliable. He has just had a bit of an injury-ridden season, but it happens. If that is the same this season, okay, hold my hands up, say City, stay away. But it might have just been a one-off. Who knows? But I feel like Jared Branthwaite, in terms of that English profile, he's got the left-footed profile, he's got the age profile. He's ticking so many boxes, and it does feel like he has got that next step to go to. A little bit like John Stones when he was at Everton all those years ago, when Guardiola took a gamble on him, brought him into the club. I remember at the time, this was way before sort of playing out from the back was properly fashionable. There was clips of John Stones trying to dribble in his own penalty area, and an old Evertonian sort of grumbling at him. But obviously it's worked out to a treat. Unfortunately, fitness-wise, it just hasn't necessarily been as you'd have wanted. But I feel like Jared Branthwaite, it just makes sense. I know he's just signed a contract extension with Everton. I've not seen any talk or any reporting about a release clause in there, but maybe that's part of it. Sign a release clause, go and then sort of sign for a Champions League club or whatever next summer. Bring in Everton a bit extra money. They're not sort of wasting down his contract. I don't know, but I just feel like I can see it already. Jared Branthwaite signing for Manchester City in the 2026 summer, maybe even before the World Cup. Get that big money move sorted, then he goes off with Thomas Tuchel and wins the World Cup with England. I don't know. It's just a thought, but let me know what you feel like. Is this even a problem? Maybe you don't think it is. Hit the comment section, hit the subscribe button, smash those likes, and until next time, we will see you later.